Today we have a furnace and AC replacement. Right off the bat, we're gonna get the refrigerant out of this condenser here. We're gonna replace the line set, remove the furnace and the coil and all that. So we have to get the refrigerant out. That's what I'm doing here with this recovery machine and this recovery tank. All ACs show what the factory charge is. I was trying to point that out there. I think it was 73 ounces, which is like 4.5 pounds. We removed a little over 2.5 pounds, so the system was low right from the get-go. That doesn't really matter to us in this case, but if we were going to keep the line set, we would want to consider that. The furnace is a 30-year-old Amana unit. Amana is kind of like the Cadillac line of the Goodman product. In the video here, the furnace is already partially torn apart. The homeowner was actually trying to fix the inducer motor himself. The inducer, I can't remember what happened. The wheel came off the shaft or something. But anyways, he was trying to do his own repair. It failed, and he finally decided to just get a new system. I have been helping him milk this system along for probably about 5 years now. I've put a gas valve in it, and I think we've done a refrigerant fill at one point on the AC too. So it was kind of satisfying to be able to replace this thing. Once I have this evaporator coil out, you're going to see that we're going to look on the underside of it. It's not too bad, not too dirty. For being as old as it is, it's relatively clean. So that gives you an idea that maybe they're good at changing their filters, or somebody was good at changing their filters. So that's cool. That said, we're going to replace a good chunk of this plenum with a case coil, so we're just trying to get it out of there. If we're going to be building a transition, I just try to get the ductwork to be a nice straight line all the way across and maybe like 6 inches above where my coil is going to end, so that I have enough room to build a decent transition. I don't want to get crazy with it. I don't want to do 2 feet tall, but just something that we can build a nice transition that'll look good. So I generally cut my plenums with a Sawzall. It is not a very precise instrument, but some of those corners, if the corners are overlapping or if they have a joint, there'll be like 3 layers of steel. You can cut that with a tin snips. It's just easier with a Sawzall. Sometimes I use a grinder too if I'm not concerned about sparks. Once we clean that cut up, we are going to have to address, you can see that the plenum is moving up and down, so I'm going to have to attach that to the joist system above. I want that to be level, and I want it to be semi-secure. Once we get the actual transition built, then it can rest on the transition, but I need it to be level in the meantime so I can get that transition the way I want it. The basement is a little bit dungeon-esque, so we are going to build this furnace up in the driveway. The one critical component on building that, we want to make sure that our return hole is the same as the old furnace that came out. And then we do have to factor in if we're going to put pads underneath it or something, but make the hole the same as what you had before. Other than the return hole, pretty much everything else is going to be the same as far as getting this thing set up so we can bring it downstairs. I'm going to get the condensate, the electrical, the low volt, and the gas kind of teed up so that I can just bring it down. We are going to have a technical glitch. The GoPro cut out when I was doing the condensate and I think the high volt, so you won't be able to see that, but basically we just run it in 3/4 inch PVC for the condensate, and then the high voltage ran in MC. So you'll see that kind of later in the video. We got the union for the gas on the outside of the furnace like everybody likes on YouTube. And when you see me attach the low volt line in a minute, I like to just have one low volt line going into my furnace. Some guys will have 3 or 4 freaking lines going in there, and then they'll splice them all together in some convoluted mess. I like to just have it out, and then it's essentially like its own exterior terminal box. We could even make a terminal box if we wanted, but I just want it, so here's the terminals coming out, the wires are sitting there on the ductwork, and then we can tie whatever we want to it. It makes it into a convoluted mess, and it's even harder for young techs or new techs to figure stuff out because they don't know what wire corresponds with what, and we just want to make it easy. We are going to get to the stage where I put the A-coil on top of the furnace in a minute. When I put my A-coils on the top of the furnace, I always just tape them with mastic tape. I don't use any fasteners or straps or anything like that. I get a bunch of grief on YouTube for it. Gravity is going to keep this thing down once it's down there. Mastic tape dries into kind of a rubber cement, so that seals things up pretty good. There's no reason that we need to be putting screws in there or something like that, or putting a screw that's inaccessible later down the road. It's just, it makes it easier for everybody. A second ago, you saw me take a red cap off, push my finger into a Schrader valve, and you heard a hiss. That's the nitrogen inside. When they ship these coils, they ship them with nitrogen. That's kind of your quality control to know that that thing is still air pressure tested. If there's no nitrogen in it, send it back. The coil's no good. I am going to be using press fittings on the refrigerant lines. I know some guys on YouTube don't like that. I don't care. That's one technology that I do want to succeed. Some guys are saying that they're leaking and stuff. A lot of times they leak because of a lack of preparation. That is a technology that we want to support. It makes it safer in houses. It's just all around better. The wire that I pulled out of the coil is the new safety requirement we have with these new refrigerants. The new refrigerants are supposedly a little bit more flammable. It's kind of like a smoke detector that detects refrigerant inside the coil. It will shut it won't shut the furnace off. It'll actually just turn the blower on real fast because it wants to try to get rid of all that refrigerant if it's actually leaking. Those sensors are going to be something we are going to want to carry on the truck. I have them for the Goodman units and the Amana units. I got to get them for the other units as well. I guarantee you those are going to be a big failure point down the road. It's just like a smoke detector. You're going to get a bunch of false positives with those things. This is where the video is going to cut out in a second, and then it's going to be inside. I think I got to start filming with 2 cameras or something. I just want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. There are many ways to attach a return boot. That's the L-shaped thing that the filter goes in. I always attach it with straps on the outside if I can. I want it to be accessible. You know, like I keep telling you guys, I always want things to be accessible. I want them to be easy. I hate having to spend 2 hours trying to take something apart because the last guy did it the easy way or whatever. So anyways, you'll see me strap that. We do not need the electrical box or switch box on the furnace. We can put it somewhere nearby. It just has to be within like 6 feet, make it accessible. So we're going to put it up here, run a wire down. The big thing there is we don't want to put it somewhere that it's obstructing the filter area. We want to be able to pull the filter out. We don't want to be hitting wires and stuff. So we're going to try to make that easy. You'll see me finish the low volt in a little bit here, but then we move on to the gas. The gas is really easy because it was ran in flexible copper, so we can just kind of bend that to where we want it. We already got our union on the outside. Easy does it. Just hook it up and let her rip. I generally try to get my gas hooked up relatively quickly in the process just so I can start pressure testing that, see if it leaks or anything like that. Yes, we do use bubbles or we do a flame test, but the first step is just turn it on and see if the damn thing smells or not. We'll be jumping to condensate next. I do actually reuse a portion of his condensate line. He has 1/2-inch PVC currently ran. I didn't have a 1/2-inch to 3/4-inch adapter on the truck, so you'll see me kind of make one. I just take 3/4, I heat it up, sleeve it over, pull it back off, glue it. You know, in general, if they're running 1/2-inch PVC or something and the PVC looks clean, I'll just reuse a portion of it. Usually we don't have too many issues with PVC plugging around here. I think that might be geography specific. I've heard some guys say that PVC plugs all the time in their area. I don't see it much around our area. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but for those of you that don't work in HVAC, we see the condensate, especially the clear flexible condensate plug up. I think that bacteria, it's like a snotty bacteria that forms. I think it likes light, so that's why we see it more on the clear piping. The video cut out before when I put that stub in the exhaust hole on the furnace there. I like to silicone that. I know some guys glue it. If you glue it, it's permanent. If you silicone it, you can just twist it out of there if you need to. And here we go for ignition. When I made this video, it was still a little cool outside, so the homeowners wanted the heat going. So even though the project's not done, I was still able to get the heat going, warm up the house for them. Even when you don't have your plenum fully formed, you'd be surprised at how much air actually still travels through the ductwork over to where it needs to go. So there we're snaking the line set. The line set was a pain in the butt in here. I had to kind of fish it through a bunch of piping and stuff on the ceiling, but it all worked out. I wanted to have it as continuous as possible. I really didn't want to have any joints inside. I was able to make that happen, so I was pretty happy. Here we go. We're making a pad. You know, you've seen me make pads with gravel before. I just like to make a gravel pad and get it off the ground a little bit. I just think it's nicer. You can see kind of where it was in the background there. Part of the reason I moved it is because, one, we have the exhaust for the furnace coming out right there and the exhaust for the dryer. Dryer lint notoriously plugs up air conditioners, so I like to get them away from it as much as I can. So it just worked out to put it over here. It's probably about 10 or 12 feet over to the right from where it was before. This is kind of the same deal with this homeowner. I really didn't promise much as far as where I was putting it and stuff. I just, you know, I kind of go with it and see how it works as we go. I don't use stuff like that as a sales tactic or anything. I just want to make the place look better than I found it originally, and you know, that's kind of what this is. I'm about to braze these 2 lines. The 2 biggest things you can do to be successful on brazing is make sure that your metal is clean and make sure you're running that nitrogen through there. Even if you're brazing a 40-year-old line set to a new AC, it's still going to be just as good as long as you have that copper nice and clean. So now we just have to press the fittings on the interior of the house. The reason I do that last is because I'm just letting the nitrogen flow freely through the pipe, and then I can connect it. You can also take the schraders out, pump it through the coil and back out. That's fine too. It's just easier for me to press it at the end. I lost a portion of the line set vacuuming footage. I'm vacuuming it through the gauges. You can do it any way you want. The gauges are not the most efficient way to do it, but in this case, I'm planning on running the vacuum for at least like an hour and a half while I'm putzing around with other stuff, so I really don't care. The point is we want a long, slow vacuum going on. We want to be able to boil all that water off, get whatever other crap in that line set off we can. There, make sure you tape any white lines that are going to be hot. We're adding a new disconnect and everything. The disconnect, you saw me pull that out on the pole before. I'm using that hammer just to kind of make pilot holes for my screws. This is metal lap siding here. But anyways, we got a new disconnect. We got a new low volt wire. Here inside, I'm just reconnecting the existing AC wire. I'm junctioning it in a junction box basically in the ceiling, running our new wire to it. So then we'll be powered up. The homeowner was quite eager to try this thing out, so in just a second you'll see me finish the low volt. And right as I do it, he goes and turns the thermostat to cool, so then I have to run outside quickly and actually release the refrigerant in the unit, but whatever, it's fine. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and let me know if you guys have any questions. I love the comments. I love responding to the comments, so if you guys have a question about an AC install you're doing, or if you're questioning some of my tactics or something, let me know, and I'll let you know what I think in the comments. So anyways, I appreciate it, and have a great day, folks.